The right hand technique is really important when playing slide guitar. We do have a couple options for how we approach this. There is traditionally a lot of Delta blues guitar players use the thumb pick and then their finger pick to play. Booker White is a prime example of this. And then people started using their raw fingers. And some people use a traditional flat pick. I would say the flat pick is my least favorite because you have the least control over it. So unless you're kind of doing like a Elmore James kind of vibe, it's too broad of a tool for the gig of playing slide guitar. So I do play with the thumb pick and finger pick, and I do play with just the flesh. I play with the flesh of my fingers more than anything because I always have my fingers with me. So sometimes you forget your picks and I'm on a session or a gig and play slide. Okay, right? So I was for slide. But they are different sounds too. Let's just discuss that. The thumb and finger picks, if you're playing resonator acoustic guitar, get you a little bit more volume and they're more percussive sounding, and the fingers are a little bit of a warmer sound. So sonically you can choose not just based on technique but based on the sound that you want to get from it. And so there are times I play electric guitar with thumb and finger picks because I want that sharp attack, right, and that banjo-y, or is really a punchiness to it. But there are other times I like the sweetness of just the fleshier fingers. Let's look at a little bit of the technique. Now I'm in standard tuning. I'm going to make another video that will discuss the various tunings you could use and why you might choose some when you're starting to learn slide guitar. There's a lot of variables, right? By the way, if you're digging this video, please subscribe to my channel. If you could like this video, if you can leave me some comments, it'd be fabulous. Okay, so the right hand technique, I do a lot of what they call blocking. This is a term, right, where if I'm usually like have 4 fingers, my thumb and my first 3 fingers laying on some strings at all times. And my thumb is often leaning up against another string. So right now I've got 5 strings muted. Now, the low E string rings, but I'm not going to worry about it because I'm actually not even going to be playing that string with the slide. So the slide does move up and down a little bit. I'm not just keeping it over all 6 strings at one time. So I am navigating the slide vertically a little bit depending on what I'm playing. So if I'm playing on the top 4 strings, I'm likely to pull the slide down because the sweet spot of the slide is kind of near the middle, right? The edges aren't quite as optimal for playing slide, but more towards the center. So I tend to try to think about what strings I'm playing on and what strings are going to be ringing, and I try to get those closer to the center. Like you can see, I'm playing this B string right now, and I do have the slide pulled down a little bit. I'm not covering all 6 strings. You can even hear, right? It's just a clearer tone when I move the slide down. Right? And you can hear a little bit of that whine I get from the glass slide too. Nice overtones, and some of that also comes from me adjusting the slide so that it's not on the edges, because the edges are gonna be a little buzzier and not have as much nice resonance to them. Okay, so you see my right hand now. I'm doing a lot of the striking of the strings between my first and second fingers. A lot of times my first finger. Sometimes my thumb governs like the bottom 2 or 3 strings. Mainly I'm using my first and second fingers though. And really, I'm only using my middle finger if I need to do double stops, and my third finger if I need to play chords. So I'm going to play an E triad here at fret 9. You see, I'm actually using my thumb, my first finger, and my middle finger. Right? But if I'm playing single note lines, unless I'm doing something like, I'm mostly going to be playing a lot of that with my first finger. And what I'm doing is, on either side of my first finger, my thumb or my middle finger are playing the adjacent strings. Well, they're not playing, they're touching the adjacent strings so that they don't ring. So imagine it's like this, right? you could see, check this out, right? So now I don't have a string up here, but you see, my thumb is now blocking this B string. And now my middle finger is blocking the high E string. My thumb is blocking the G string. So these other strings aren't going to ring. Why am I doing that? Well, because there's sympathetic vibration that happens when you play the slide. Excuse me, if I have the slide over all 6 strings, you're going to hear there's all 6 of these strings are ringing. And if we're not in an open tuning, and sometimes even when we are in open tuning, we don't want all 6 of those strings ringing depending on what notes we're playing. So I'm preventing this sympathetic vibration from happening by blocking, right? And sometimes I'm also laying my palm down on the guitar strings here so it doesn't ring. So now am I blocking with my middle finger and my thumb, but I'm also laying my palm down on the lower strings so it doesn't make any sound. So right now, really, even when I'm playing a string, the only thing that, for the most part, really, except for a little bit of noise, the only thing that can ring is that B string. And so that's what blocking is all about. And really just getting used to using your first finger and playing one note. So I think sometimes just playing a single note line can really help get you there. Right? Can get us into that comfort zone. It's going to take a while. It takes between 30 and 60 days to develop a habit. So any of this stuff that you're working on is definitely going to take a considerable amount of time in order to get to the point that this feels natural. And there's a lot of elements that we have to get used to here with the blocking and with the slide. And I should talk about the blocking on the slide real quick. If I play acoustic guitar, and I'm sliding notes and I'm just resonating, you're going to hear the sound of the strings behind the slide and the strings ahead of the slide. And sometimes that can sound blurry and in some occasions dissonant. I actually put my thumb, well, my thumb's behind the neck, like I mentioned. My first finger lays on the guitar strings. So actually you see here, I'm actually like, my first finger is acting like another slide behind the slide, and that prevents the strings from ringing behind the slide, right? So now, it prevents a lot of, well, sympathetic vibrations from the other side of the slide sneaking into the sound, which is important if you want a cleaner sound. Now there are times where I like it muddy and dirty and I will not block behind the slide, but there's a lot of times where just nowadays I'm so used to playing blocking that I do it. Right? And then you'll see in there sometimes I'm picking my first finger up and not blocking. But most of the time my finger is lightly touching that string to just block it. And that's just another reason to get used to this idea that you have this moving family when it comes to the left hand or the hand that you're holding the slide on. Okay, there'll be more videos in the series, so keep an eye out for the next one that's coming.